So now a person needs to know that not everybody, and in fact, nobody, is going to be exactly like you. Everyone has different weaknesses and different strengths. So when a person sees that someone else is struggling with something, it doesn't necessarily by default make them the worst person on earth. They're weak in that particular regards. And even though you yourself don't know why they got so angry, or you don't know why they go crazy over food, or you don't know why they do such and such, because you don't have that same inclination, it doesn't by default make you better. Because you weren't tested in the same thing. Had you been tested in the same thing, in your weakness, you would fall too. So this is also another reason why a person should never, ever judge his fellow unless he put himself in the same shoes. And that's what the Gemara says. You can't judge your fellow unless you put yourself in the same position. Now, of course, the average person thinks, oh, I put myself in the same position and I wouldn't get mad. No, putting yourself in the same position doesn't mean put yourself literally in the same position when you're not weak in the same thing. If, let's say, for example, one guy was caught committing adultery, okay? He committed adultery, horrible sin. He's going to Gehinnom for it unless he does tshuva. And if she's pregnant, he has a really, really serious problem because now he's going to have a baby that's out of wedlock. And surely his existing wife is not going to be happy. And if this other girl is married, then it's a mamzer. He has a tragedy on his hand. But you looking at this person that just committed adultery and judging him is not right. Why? Because you aren't judged the same thing. You're going to say, wait a minute, I would never cheat on my wife. You're right. You would never cheat on your wife. But you may do something else. You may cheat on your boss. You may cheat on your company. You may cheat on your taxes. You may cheat on something else. Perhaps not adultery because your desire in that aspect or your weakness in that aspect is not as weak as his is. But your weakness when it comes to, let's say, money is just as weak. So you're judging him that he fell for some beautiful girl and she's not his wife, and in your eyes, he's the worst person on earth. But what about when you had that opportunity and $5 million could have easily gone to your bank account and nobody would have ever known until it was too late and you were in the Bahamas somewhere? What did you do then? Would you fall? Would you not fall? Now before the test comes, everybody passes. No, I would never do it. But when push comes to shove and the moment of truth comes, that's when you really know who you really are. So the first thing first is when the sages teach us not to judge another person unless you're in their shoes, they don't actually mean unless you're literally in their shoes, because surely you may not have the same inclination as him. You may not have the same inclination, but put yourself in the same shoes with that same weakness or strength that you have. That's the thing. So if he's strong in one thing and he's put up to the test, and you're just as strong in one thing and you're put up to the test, that's an even test. Even if one is eating and the other one is drinking. One is anger and the other one is generosity. It doesn't make a difference. The point is strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness. You cannot judge a person based on something that he's weak and you're strong in. You have to judge based weakness versus weakness. And that's why we really can't judge anybody. Why? Because any one of us that really introspects, really does some introspection, really does some actual review of ourselves, truth is, we find so many weaknesses, we get too embarrassed to judge anybody else. Anyone that actually looks at who they really are. I'm not talking about who you really are when you're on stage. You got your muscles flexed. You're the top of the company. You're the best this and you're best that. And everyone is just can't wait to give you a high five because you're just so good at what you do. No! I'm talking about weakness. I'm talking about when you're miserable. I'm talking about when you just screwed up something that unfortunately is repeatedly terrible in your hands. Everybody else succeeds except you. You know how weak you are in that particular case. Go look at those few things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, whatever it is. Each one of us has these things. When a person truly looks at those weaknesses, he has no guts left to judge anybody else. No guts left. Why? If anybody would ever know the weakness that I have, how much embarrassment would it bring me? Needless to say, who am I to go judge somebody else when I have so many of my own weaknesses? So yes, I don't have his weaknesses and I don't have her weaknesses, but I have my own weaknesses. And what ends up happening is many times a person focuses on what? On his strength and their weaknesses. And that's what makes a person corrupt. That's what makes a person corrupt. So a person cannot do that to themselves, not only because it's a corrupt personality as far as it's a terrible personality to judge others and not yourself, but also it's literally corrupting your own time in this world and putting yourself on a path of simply living a lie. Living a lie that everyone else is in the wrong and you're in the right. And it makes a person very detestable.